How's it going, bros? Today, we're looking at LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga as a whole to decide whether or not it is in fact the best game ever. In order to figure this out, we're going to break the game down into 5 components, which are story, gameplay, atmosphere, creativity, and entertainment. Each of these components is going to get a score from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, and we're going to add them all up at the end of the video to get an overall score for the game. Starting with the story of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is literally just Star Wars. It's all 9 episodes, and you just play through the story of Star Wars. There are a couple things that are missing from the stories, just for the sake of time, I guess. We all know the story of Star Wars. Anakin turns to Darth Vader, and then the sequels. You can say whatever you want about the sequels, but they're here. That's the story of Star Wars. It's Darth Vader and Anakin. You get to play that here. The humor in these games is always funny. There is a mumble mode, so you can actually play with the characters mumbling like you could in the old LEGO Star Wars games. They managed to summarize each movie into like an hour of gameplay. They get all the most important scenes there. There's a lot going on in Star Wars, and I understand that they can't add everything. So if I gave Star Wars, the movies, a score on their story, I would say an 8 out of 10. So for the game, I think I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Next up, we're going to take a look at the gameplay. At first, I found this game a lot of fun. It's fun exploring all the maps, unlocking new characters. It's very reminiscent of the old LEGO Star Wars games where it's just like, you have your jump button, you have your attack button. The controls are very simple. It's fun for the nostalgia for a bit. There are different classes of minifigures that you can play as. They're all relatively the same in terms of like how they attack. You have obviously your lightsaber figures and your blaster figures, so they play different, obviously. Each class of minifigures is able to do different things. They have different abilities. So if you're a scoundrel, you can slide, and you also have like a reflective shot that can shoot off multiple surfaces. If you're a villain, you can throw grenades. If you're an astromech droid, you can open doors, you know, that sort of thing. So it's fun to unlock these characters and get to know what their abilities are and how to play them. But once you have been playing for a while, the gameplay gets a little bit stale because there's like 400 figures in the game, and they all feel relatively the same. All the buttons do the same thing. There's not really a whole lot of diversity with how the characters play. Like, there are some characters that I would argue are a lot more fun than others. So like General Grievous is gonna be a lot more fun than Commander Jur. And it's not because I like Grievous more. I do like him more. He looks cooler. But he has 4 lightsabers, he can throw grenades, and he has a blaster. Like, that's just a lot more appealing to me. So it really does depend on what figure you play as. And same goes with the starships. Some of them shoot faster than others. They're all relatively the same. Again, they all play mostly the same. You have your capital ships, your micro ships. Again, everything is the same. It gets a little bit stale after a while. There are some ways to spice up the gameplay a little bit. So we have data cards. There's a whole bunch of them. You can add some companions. You can add some funny effects like baguette lightsabers and comedy weapons. There's rainbow effects, and you can add like the rave mode. So those are some fun ways to spice up the gameplay a little bit. There's all these planets to explore. There's like 20 different planets, but once you've seen one, you've seen them all. Like, they look good, but in terms of navigating the world and playing on it, it just feels like I'm repeating myself over and over again on the same like map. It just looks different, you know? Like, there's nothing special about one world compared to the next. Like, it's all very the same. Like, once you play for more than, I would say, 5 hours, you kind of notice that everything is the same, and it gets a little bit boring, especially when you have to find like 30 kyber bricks on each map, and I just don't have the motivation to want to do that 20 times, you know? It is fun for a bit. Like, if you play it once in a while, it's okay, but I would say try to avoid playing this game all the time because you're gonna get bored of it. So I'm gonna give the gameplay a 5 out of 10. Next up, we're gonna take a look at atmosphere. Now, atmosphere means like, how does the game look? How does the game feel? How does the soul feel of this game? Everything looks great. All the figures look pretty good. There's not really a whole lot wrong with the figures, I would have to say. You have the super iconic John Williams Star Wars score in there. The way the levels look fantastic. There's so much to explore in this game. It's unreal. The amount of things you have to unlock is almost insane. Within each level, there's more sub-levels you have to do to unlock kyber bricks. There's challenges you have to do. There's certain things you have to interact with. Within the stories, you gotta do the stories, you gotta unlock this and that and this and that. You have to unlock all the microships, the kyber bricks, the upgrades, the starships, everything on the capital ships, all the minifigures. There's like 400 bajillion of them, and it just keeps going. So there's no way you're not gonna find something to do in this game, because there's just so much to do. There's not really a whole lot of loading screens, because when you're traveling from planet to planet, you're flying through hyperspace, which I guess is kind of like a loading screen, but I'm happy that they did that, so it keeps you like within this universe. There's a lot of detail spent on this game too, so like on some planets you have multiple maps. So on, like, for example, on Tatooine you have Junlin Wastes, Mos Espa, and Mos Eisley. And there's all this stuff to explore within each of those maps. And there's just so many of them. There's like 20 planets. It's crazy. So I do feel like there is a lot to explore. But like I said, when it comes to gameplay, it does feel very repetitive. It almost kind of sometimes feels like it's just a copy and paste world onto like the next one. So yes, everything looks great, but it just feels way too repetitive. If there was different things on different maps that you'd have to do in different ways, that'd be a lot better, but it's too repetitive for me. So because of that, I'm gonna give the atmosphere another 6 out of 10. Now we're gonna take a look at creativity, and when I say creativity, I don't mean how creative is the game, I mean how creative can me, the player, be while playing this game. And like I said before, there's all these figures that you can unlock, but really the only differences between the figures are the classes. So like hero, scavenger, scoundrel, they play sort of different. So that's your opportunity to be creative and do things how you want. You can play whichever figure as you want when you do free play. Your chance really to be the most creative you can be is with the data cards, which are essentially like cheat codes almost. So you have like the multipliers, you have the companions, the funny effects like the lightsabers, television mode, galaxy rave. So these are fun to use. They make the game a little bit more entertaining. But besides that, man, there's not really a whole lot going on here. Like, I'm actually a little bit disappointed with how little building there is, because it's a Lego game and the whole premise of Lego is you build it. But there's hardly any of that in this game, I feel like. Like, there is some, don't get me wrong, but for a Lego game, there's not enough. Everything is already built. Like, you can build sometimes, and you can choose what you want to build. So there's that, but I wish there was a little bit more. And also a big one is there's no customize your character. That was like, why? Why is that not in the game? That should definitely be in the game. In the old ones, you could customize your own minifigure and then play as it. And I'm really disappointed that wasn't in this game, because that would have been a huge opportunity to let the player be creative in a Lego game, but you can't. So that's really disappointing. Really, the only way you can personalize the game is with your upgrades and with the data cards and the characters you choose to play as, but those are all the same relatively. So the creativity scale is not off the charts here, that's for sure. So I'm gonna give the creativity a 3 out of 10. Last but not least, we got entertainment. How entertaining is this game? And that's very situational. It depends. It depends. Like, there are definitely characters that are more entertaining. So if you play as a super battle droid, that's gonna be more fun as like the gong droid, you know? Like, it's good that the options are there to play as different characters, but I'm not gonna play as like 3/4 of these things. Like, they're mostly filler. There are some really entertaining characters, and if they were all as entertaining as like General Grievous, then it'd be getting like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 here. But they're not all General Grievous, so that's my first issue. The starships I find to be not crazy fun. It kind of just feels like they all fly and turn. They have the same turn radius, they have the same speed. For the most part, they have the same shooting capabilities. I would say the most entertaining part about this game is doing the story levels, exploring the galaxy, and unlocking all of the minifigures. Like, unlocking all the kyber crystals when there's like 100 on each planet. Like, it doesn't really entertain me that much. I get bored of this game kind of fast. Like, it's targeted towards a younger audience, so like I can understand they did good for what they were going for. And if you have kids, or if you're a kid playing this game and you're entertained, go right ahead. You like, have a blast. Like, good for you. But me, as an older person playing this game, I find it to be not the most entertaining. After a while, for when you play the story and you do a little bit of exploring, that's a lot of fun. But trying to unlock everything is just damn near impossible because there's just so much and I lose interest. So for that reason, I'm going to give the entertainment a 5 out of 10. Overall, I'm going to give LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga a 5 out of 10, which doesn't seem great, but just remember, there's no such thing as a perfect video game, so there's never going to be a 10 out of 10. It just gets a little bit repetitive. That's really my only issue. There's a lot to explore, there's a lot to do, so you'll never have issues looking for something to do here. You can spend hours on this game. I think honestly that's my issue. I feel like I've played this game almost too much and I've got bored of it, so maybe if I had done this review like months ago it would be a lot higher, but because I've played it for so long, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just gotten boring to me. I don't know. Please feel free to leave a like and a subscribe and comment down below on what you think of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.